What if I told you that the reason Jeffrey Epstein avoided federal prosecution in 2008 had nothing to do with good lawyers, nothing to do with legal technicalities, and everything to do with 4 words spoken by the man who made the deal? 4 words that, if true, would mean that the United States government knowingly shielded a serial predator of children, not because they didn't know what he was doing, but because he was useful to them. Those 4 words? Pause. He belongs to intelligence. Pause. Stay till the end, because the trail those words leave behind changes everything you thought you knew about this case. I'm Mark Epstein, and this is the Epstein Files. Pause. The year is 2019. Jeffrey Epstein has just been arrested by the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. The indictment, case number 19-CR-490, charges him with sex trafficking of minors and conspiracy to commit sex trafficking of minors. Across the country, a political firestorm is raging because the man who had given Epstein the sweetheart deal in 2008, Village, the non-prosecution agreement filed in connection with case number 08-8099 in the Southern District of Florida, is now serving as the United States Secretary of Labor. His name is Robert Alexander Acosta, and reporters are demanding answers about why, 11 years earlier, he had allowed a federal sex trafficking investigation involving dozens of underage victims to be quietly resolved with a state plea deal to solicitation of prostitution. Pause. Acosta holds a press conference on July 10, 2019, at the Department of Labor headquarters in Washington, D.C. He defends his handling of the case. He argues the NPA was better than the alternative of Epstein walking free. He calls the deal a product of its time. 2 days later, on July 12, 2019, Acosta resigns. Pause. But here's where it gets disturbing. Because the press conference is not the whole story. There is another account of what Acosta said. Not to the cameras, but behind closed doors. Source: DOJ press conference transcript, July 10, 2019. Pacer, case 19-CR-490. Pacer, case 08-8099. The claim originates from a report published by the Daily Beast on July 8, 2019, written by journalist Vicky Ward. According to Ward, she had been told by a source with direct knowledge that during Alexander Acosta's vetting process for the position of Secretary of Labor in the Trump transition in 2017, the Epstein matter came up. Acosta was asked about the controversial plea deal, and according to Ward's reporting, Acosta's response was that he had been told to back off the Epstein case, that Epstein belonged to intelligence, and to leave it alone. Pause. Source: Daily Beast. Vicky Ward, Jeffrey Epstein, Trump's labor secretary, and a really sweetheart deal, updated July 8, 2019. Now I need to be very precise here because this is where journalism separates from conspiracy. This claim, belonged to intelligence, has never been confirmed in any court filing, any sworn deposition, any official government report, or any document released through FOIA. It is an attribution made by a single journalist citing an unnamed source. Acosta himself, during his July 10, 2019 press conference, did not confirm these words. The Department of Labor and the White House did not confirm them. No intelligence agency has confirmed or denied them on the record. Pause. This is not court record. This is reporting, and the distinction matters because the question of whether Jeffrey Epstein had ties to intelligence agencies is one of the most consequential unanswered questions in modern American legal history. So let us examine what the record does and does not support. Source: DOJ press conference, July 10, 2019. No confirmation of intelligence claim. No Pacer, court filings corroborating claim. The circumstantial architecture around this question is extensive, and much of it comes from public record. Let's start with what we know about Epstein's finances, because the intelligence question cannot be separated from the money question. Jeffrey Epstein claimed to be a billionaire financial manager. He lived in one of the largest private residences in Manhattan. The Herbert N. Strauss House at 9 East 71st Street in New York City, a property he acquired from Leslie Wexner, the founder and then CEO of the Limited Brands, now known as Bath and Body Works, Inc. Pause. The transfer of that property, a roughly 21,000 square foot mansion valued at the time in the tens of millions of dollars, was recorded in New York City property records. According to those records and reporting by the New York Times, Wexner transferred the property to Epstein through a trust, and the circumstances of the transfer, including the purchase price, have been the subject of significant scrutiny. Wexner later claimed through counsel in a letter released in August 2019 that Epstein had misappropriated vast sums of money from him. Pause. Source: NYC Property Records. 9 East 71st Street, New York Times reporting. Wexner attorney letter, August 2019. Here is the problem with the financial picture. Despite claiming to manage billions of dollars for an exclusive client list, no regulatory filing, no SEC disclosure, and no financial institution record has ever confirmed a client list beyond Leslie Wexner. Epstein's firm, J. Epstein & Company, later known as Financial Trust Company, registered in the U.S. Virgin Islands, had an extraordinarily opaque structure. No Form ADV was ever filed with the SEC. For a registered investment advisory practice under Epstein's name with a roster of billionaire clients. According to reporting by New York Magazine and Bloomberg, financial industry professionals expressed deep skepticism about the legitimacy and scale of Epstein's purported wealth management business. Pause. The question that this raises, and it is a question, not an assertion, is this. If the money wasn't coming from conventional financial management, where was it coming from? Source: SEC Edgar Database. No Form ADV located. Bloomberg reporting. New York Magazine. The Fantasist, October 2002. USVI Corporate Records. Now, if you're still here, it means you can handle the truth. So let me show you what they didn't want you to see. Pause. The intelligence thread does not exist only in Vicky Ward's reporting. There are connections in Epstein's biography that have been documented in public records and credible journalism. Connections that, while not proving intelligence ties, form a pattern that demands scrutiny. Pause. First, Epstein's early career. Before becoming a financier, Epstein worked as a mathematics teacher at the Dalton School in New York City from 1974 to 1976. The headmaster who hired him, despite Epstein not having a college degree at the time, was Donald Barr, a former member of the Office of Strategic Services, the wartime predecessor to the Central Intelligence Agency. Donald Barr's son is William Pelham Barr, who served as United States Attorney General twice. First under President George H.W. Bush from 1991 to 1993, and then under President Donald Trump from February 14, 2019 to December 23, 2020. Pause. William Barr was serving as Attorney General when Epstein was arrested in July 2019, when Epstein died at the UCI Metropolitan Correctional Center on August 10, 2019, and when the investigation into Epstein's death was conducted. Barr stated publicly that he had recused himself from any matters related to the Southern District of Florida's prior handling of the Epstein case, due to his father's past connection to Epstein and his own former work at the law firm Kirkland & Ellis. Source: Dalton School records referenced in press. OSS records. Donald Barr. DOJ records. William Barr tenure. William Barr public statements re-recusal. Kirkland & Ellis representation. Pacer case 088099. Second, Ghislaine Maxwell's father. Ghislaine Noel Marion Maxwell. Convicted on December 29, 2021, in case number 20 CR 330 in the Southern District of New York, on 5 of 6 counts, including sex trafficking of a minor, was the daughter of Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell, born Jan Ludwig Hyman Benjamin Hoch, was a British media mogul, a member of parliament, and a man who, after his death on November 5, 1991, found floating in the Atlantic Ocean near his yacht, the Lady Ghislaine, was reported by multiple credible sources, including investigative authors Gordon Thomas and Seymour Hersh, to have had ties to Israeli intelligence, specifically the Mossad. A 2003 book by Gordon Thomas, Robert Maxwell, Israel's super spy, laid out this case in detail. Pause. Whether Ghislaine Maxwell inherited her father's alleged intelligence contacts, and whether those contacts intersected with Epstein's operations, remains unproven in any court filing. But the Maxwell trial transcripts, the trial ran from November 29 through December 29, 2021, contain testimony about the deep entanglement between Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, including testimony from victims who identified Maxwell as both recruiter and participant. Source: Pacer, Case 20 CR 330. Maxwell trial transcripts, SDNY, Gordon Thomas, Robert Maxwell, Israel's super spy, 2003, Seymour Hersh, The Samson Option, 1991, Robert Maxwell death, Public Records, November 5, 1991. Third, and this requires careful language. According to reporting by journalist James Patterson and co-authors in Filthy Rich, and by Julie K. Brown of the Miami Herald, Alexander Acosta's decision to offer the NPA was unusual, not only in its leniency, but in the process by which it was negotiated. The deal was handled largely between Epstein's defense attorneys, including Jay Lefkowitz, Kenneth Starr, Alan Dershowitz, Gerald Lefcourt, and others from prominent firms, and the U.S. Attorney's Office, in a manner that excluded victims and limited FBI involvement in the final outcome. The DOJ Office of Professional Responsibility report, completed in 2020, confirmed that Acosta exercised poor judgment but found no prosecutorial misconduct. Pause. The OPR report did not investigate any intelligence dimension. It was not tasked with that question. No government investigation, to the public's knowledge, has ever been tasked with that question. Source: DOJ OPR Report 2020, Miami Herald, Perversion of Justice, Parts 2-3, Pacer, Case 08-8099, NPA and related defense attorney filings. This is where the official story falls apart, because here is the paradox at the center of this case. If Acosta's reported statement, "he belongs to intelligence," is true, then the non-prosecution agreement was not a failure of the justice system. It was the justice system working as directed to protect a government asset at the expense of over 30 identified minor victims. The NPA's co-conspirator immunity clause, which shielded unnamed individuals from federal prosecution, would take on an entirely different meaning. It would not have been about protecting Epstein's associates. It would have been about protecting an intelligence operations network. And if the statement is not true, if Acosta never said those words, or if Epstein had no intelligence connections, then we are left with an equally disturbing conclusion: that the most powerful law enforcement apparatus in the world simply chose to look the other way for a wealthy sex offender. Neither answer is acceptable. Both demand a full accounting that, as of this date, has never been provided. The connections don't end there. In the civil litigation that followed Epstein's death, two major financial institutions settled claims related to their facilitation of Epstein's operations. JP Morgan Chase settled for approximately $290 million in June 2023. Deutsche Bank settled for approximately $75 million in May 2023. These settlements, arising from lawsuits filed by victims, addressed allegations that these banks maintained Epstein's accounts despite red flags and suspicious activity. Court filings in the JP Morgan litigation, filed in the Southern District of New York, referenced internal communications suggesting that senior bank officials were aware of concerns about Epstein's accounts. Did financial institutions also receive signals, formal or informal, that Epstein was not to be touched? The settlement documents do not answer this question directly, but $365 million in combined settlements suggest these institutions understood the magnitude of their exposure. Let me be clear about what this episode is and what it is not. I am not telling you Jeffrey Epstein was a spy. I am not telling you the CIA or the Mossad or any other agency directed his crimes. What I am telling you is this. A credible journalist reported that the US attorney who made the deal said Epstein belonged to intelligence. That claim has never been confirmed or denied under oath. It has never been investigated by any public body. It has never been addressed in any official government report. And the circumstantial record, the unexplained wealth, the murky financial structure, the connections to figures with documented intelligence backgrounds, the extraordinary leniency of the NPA, the decade of federal silence, creates a constellation of questions that no responsible investigator can ignore. These are not accusations, they are facts. They are questions that the public record demands we ask, and that no one in power has been willing to answer. The powerful bury the truth, but paper has a longer memory than power. If this episode opened your eyes, hit subscribe and the bell icon, because every file matters. Comment below. Do you believe the intelligence connection was real? I read every single one. Share this before it disappears from your feed. Next file. We open the flight logs, name by name, date by date, destination by destination. The passenger manifests of the plane they called the Lolita Express. And there are names on those logs that will stop you cold. I'm Mark Epstein, and I'll see you in the next file.